Hello, Boundless Universe. This is Sulfurblade, and I'm back with the same video I just did. I just did this video, and the whole time I was doing it, I did not turn OBS on. And so, I did not record this video the first time. So, but I am recording it now, and this video is basically me answering some questions that were asked in a previous video that I made, a Boundless review video. A gentleman by the name of Normal6969 has asked a bunch of questions about Boundless, and I thought they were good questions, so I figured, well, why not? I'll go ahead and try to answer them. So, the first question that he asked is, possibly you say the game advanced beyond beta, but how long it was developed, and what the future holds. Do player base have a good connection with devs? Yes, player base has an amazing connection to the devs. We've been at this for what, 4 years now? I think it started as online in like around 2015, or a little before 2015. So 3 to 4 years. And in that time period, the developers have been amazingly very hands-on. Very much involved with the community, very much inside of the game, very much picking our brains to come up with new iterations of things that worked or didn't work. We would complain, they would change it, we would complain, they would change it. We stopped complaining, they knew they were onto something. You know, that's been the development of Boundless. Boundless has changed a lot in the last 3 to 4 years. It's come a long way. And the developers are amazingly involved in the community. We are very close with the developers. They get involved in various Discord channels. They come hunting with us. Yeah, I can't say enough about the developers within the game. And so from that, to answer that question, yeah, our devs are amazing. Next question. There's some leveling up, but what skills and abilities and recipes do you unlock? Okay, so skills. Skills are a huge part of Boundless. You can have many different characters, and you're going to want to specialize your characters. So this character that I'm running around with is a hunter. He's specialized for the purposes of hunting. He has power to increase his damage with his sling bow. He has sling bow mastery to increase his damage and his action speed with the sling bow. He has the sling bow epic to again increase his damage and action speed with the sling bow. He has the luck bonus, which increases the drops that he gets from creatures. So whenever I kill creatures, I get more loot from them. I have kinetic armor maxed out. I have kinetic resistance maxed out. I have impulse armor maxed out, and I have impulse resistance maxed out. So I've got full armor across the board. And I have the protection epic, which multiplies all of those armors by 3. So I'm as tanky of a character as you can possibly have inside of the game of Boundless. With the exception, I haven't eaten any food that further enhances that right now at this point in time. However, I am on a low-level planet, and I don't have to eat food on this level planet to be pretty much invincible here. So there was a spitter running around in the background, and he's going to start shooting at me. And you're going to see how skills will greatly, and my protection skills at least, greatly enhance this specific character. I can sit here all day, and this spitter is just going to, well, it's not going to do anything to me. But this is not the norm. When you play Boundless and you start off with your character, and you're a new player and you walk up to a stout spitter, you're going to end up dead if you stand here and let him shoot you. You'll probably die in about 2 shots. Now, what you just saw was me kill a stout spitter with 2 shots of my bow, and then the 3rd shot actually looted him, basically broke him open to become loot. Again, that's not something you're going to see when you're starting the game. I have all that extra damage with the sling bows, plus I'm using a diamond heavy sling bow, which is a really expensive sling bow. So what you see from me right here is not representative of a new player experience in even the slightest sense. But anyway, so again, revolving around skills, you can basically specialize your skill loadouts to create the character that most interests you. Maybe you want to be a miner, so you're going to take hammer mastery, and you're going to take the hammer epic skill, and you're going to take durability drain epic, which basically means that your hammers will wear out slower. They'll break less, allowing you to do more with the tool. You'll take the damage epic, so that when you swing the hammer, you're doing the most damage possible to the block. Maybe you want to be a logger instead, so you take axe mastery instead of the hammer mastery, and you take the shovel and axe skill instead of the hammer epic. Now, a lot of these skills are either or, so like my slingbow epic, I can have this, but I cannot have bomb epic. It's a choice. You get one or the other, but not both. And so this play of skills, and nobody can do it all, it creates a lot of interwork between the community, a lot of economy, purchasing stuff that you might need for your trade or craft from somebody who can make it, and so on and so forth. Alright, next question was, there's some leveling up. That was the question you just asked. There are offline vendor blocks, but what other non-building blocks are there? Alright, so excellent question. But doesn't really work. So everything in this game is a building block. This fancy mushroom here, that was placed there. That did not actually spawn there. That fancy mushroom there, again, was placed there. I wouldn't doubt if that twisted loba was placed there, or the decorative, or the desert sword here was placed there. I'm standing outside of Javita's little cave entrance, and you're seeing all these resources like this mottled tar mushroom. We're actually within his beaconed area, so these things are not breakable by players that are not on his beacon. Now, I'm not going to test this because I'm probably on his beacon, and if I swing and break that open, that mushroom is then going to turn into resources. And that would be good. Or that would be good for me, but it would be bad for Javita. Javita actually placed that there because he wants it as a decoration. And so with that being said, you can get skills like where is it? There's a specific harvesting skill here. that basically allows you, yeah, Gathering Epic. Increases drop chance from plants, boulders, and fungus by 1. Unlocks the ability to collect plants, boulders, and fungus. So basically you could pick up a plant with a shovel and it becomes a building block. If you didn't have that skill and you just hit it with an axe, or you didn't have that skill and you hit it with a shovel, it would break open into the resources that it normally becomes. So even resource blocks can be used for building blocks. Your specific example was the vendor blocks that you were talking about. So the vendor blocks, I've seen people use them for building many times. Yeah, you know, they serve a purpose. You can sell stuff on them, but they're also very nice looking blocks, and people utilize them for building purposes all the time. So what I'm basically saying is everything in Boundless is a building block, and the idea that there's non-building blocks is kind of a well, it's based off of a false premise, if you will. Alright, next question. What is the exchange? What can you get from there? And what are inside of those clockwork boxes you've shown? So the exchange is this guy here. You can collect rewards at the rewards tab. You can get rewards for doing all kinds of things, for leveling up, for accomplishing certain feats. So, you know, maybe you dug 2,000 stone and that accomplished a specific, I dug 2,000 stone and got a feat objective. Maybe you killed 500 wild stock, and because that's the number you needed to get that objective, well, it goes off. And so you just collect these things all the time, and they give you little stuff. They give you, you know, some coin. They give you some XP. They give you some cubits. And so you get a lot of them. So you're constantly opening boxes in the game, and you get boxes for all kinds of various things. And that's just, you get them from playing the game. They're not loot boxes. You're not going to some website and spending real life money to get loot boxes. No, that's not Boundless. Boundless is not pay to win like that. Also at the exchange you have plots. This is where you can spend your cubits that you get in game to buy your plots. And plots are the things that safeguard the things you build. And so as you level up, you get more cubits, and you can spend those cubits on plots if you so deem to do so. You can also spend those cubits on additional characters, on skill sets, on cleanse points, on appearance change tokens, on skill reset tokens, and on tinting your character. With that being said, remember how you could buy these cleanse points? Well, you get cleanse points whenever you level for free, without having to spend any cubits. So you get a lot of options to customize your character or alter your character as you level up anyway, without even having to spend cubits. And then you also get 3 free skill resets completely. You can completely reset your entire character 3 times without spending any cubits whatsoever. So, with that being said, it's very easy to generate cubits in the game, and then the things that you spend those cubits on, oftentimes you don't need to spend them because the game already gives you things like cleanse points and skill reset tokens for free, pretty generously. So you don't even have to spend your cubits on those things half the time. Which is leading on to the next point. When you go to the exchange and you click on Qubit, you can see that you can purchase qubits for real life money. And so this is as close as the game comes to being even remotely pay to win, which it really is not. If you had the expendable income to be able to buy a bunch of qubits, sure, you could get a bunch of qubits that you could then buy a bunch of plots, and you could plot a big section of the world somewhere and build something on it. Okay, great. Plot a big section of the world and build something on it. Good for you. Thank you for supporting the game. For some reason, people seem to get wrapped up into that somehow being pay to win. And what I want to point out right now is I'm a pretty high-level player, right? This is Sparta. This is my shop. It's a very sizable shop. This is 7 by 7 plots right here of just the shop. So that's 49 plots, not counting up and down for the pillars and stuff like that. Then if I go over here to the gateway, the Betula gateway, that is also something that I own. I'm part of the Portal Seekers guild, and this is my gateway that I'm responsible for. I own all the plots of this gateway that make this gateway it, and that's another 7 by 7 plots. And then if you come down here and go through the portal down here to Kata 1, we come upon another gateway, and guess what? I own this one too, and it's another big 7 by 7 chunk of plots. And I own a lot more land than that. I don't spend my money to buy plots. I'm not. I didn't have to go to the exchange, spend real life money to get qubits, so that I could afford a bunch of plots, so that I could plot all this stuff. All I had to do was play the game. And as you can see, by just playing the game, I've got a lot of square footage to build on. So, if there's pay to win, because you get a lot of because you're rich and you can buy a lot of plots, well, that's the only kind of pay to win that really is in this game. And if that is pay to win, well, I think we all disagree on what that classification of pay to win is. So anyway, I feel like I'm winning just fine playing for free. And I would make an argument that Sparta is one of the best known shops in the game right now. Those gateways are some of the most traveled places in the entire world. If you could make an argument that anyone in this game is winning, you could make that argument about me, and I didn't have to spend any money to do it. So, yeah, that's my argument there. And then the last part of the exchange is the Gleam Club. So Gleam Club is a form of monetization to help support the developers. Gleam Club is $25 for a half a year or $5 a month. And what you get is colored chat, emojis, advanced tinting of your character, a Gleam glyph, which is this guy here that you see over my head, just shows that I'm in the Gleam Club, and it will automatically fuel my beacons that I have as long as I'm in the Gleam Club. So yeah, this is not a whole lot of stuff that you get for your money that you spend. There's nothing here that's making me incredibly powerful in the game or anything like that. I just have the option to chat in color, do emojis, make my character slightly different tinted color, and I get a glyph over my head. None of that is even remotely pay to win. But it's just another way to support the game if you feel the need to support the game, and I do. I love the game, so I'm supporting it. I've got 180 day the 180-day package right now. And so yeah, I'm all aboard with the Gleam Club, even if I'm not getting much for it. So that's everything regarding the exchange. So the next question is, what can you build besides those static structures you've shown? Wow, what can you build in Boundless? That's a question that could take hours to answer. You can build anything you can ever imagine. You could build a tree. You could build a boat. But of course, everything in a voxel game is rather static. You can't build a boat and then drive the boat around. I mean, sure, there's other games where you can actually build vehicles, like Empyrean or something, right? You make a spaceship and you fly into space, and yeah, you're not exactly building vehicles and flying around in Boundless. Most of your buildings and things that you build are rather static. That's just kind of the way it is. Doesn't really mean that the game is less for it. Just means it's a different type of game than something like Empyrean or Space Engineers. What can you build besides those? I've already just answered that. Is there some kind of automation or mods possible? Alright, so this question feels a lot like the last question. Automation is things moving. You might be thinking about Minecraft and Redstone or something like that, where you could stand on a trigger and it would open. It would cause pistons to move and blocks would change spots. There is no redstone equivalent in the Boundless community. I'm currently looking at the most animated, if you will, stuff that you're going to see in the game. And this is a machine. Right now, my refinery is actually refining something. So it's moving around and showing an animation to show that the refinery is actually working. That one's not moving. That's because it's not refining anything, so it's not moving. So you can see that one's refining, that one's not. But this is as much animation as you really see. You also asked about mods. So this is a multiplayer online role-playing game. This is a game where everyone needs to be on equal footing, and so this isn't really a game where modding is something that would be a thing. There are some third-party programs that some smart people have made to help enhance the game. For example, Simoid, a member of the Portal Seekers, who leads a lot of the hunts, he made a map client that's online that will basically show you an overhead view of the map and where he is on the map, or any people that might be utilizing the application are on the map, and it'll also show you where the regions are that you need to go to trigger the meteors, and of course this is a 3D application that helps Simoid run the hunts in the game. So players get together and they do these things called meteors, and they go to different regions, and when they hit the region, they trigger meteors, and so the map application all revolves around accomplishing that goal. So that's as close as you're going to get to a mod inside of Boundless, because Boundless is a game where everyone needs to be on equal footing. It's not a single-player game. Next question is, what kind of universe we having here? Infinite planets connected by portals? Who is generated? Okay, so this is, there's currently 27 planets in the universe. That is the current number of planets that are currently here. That number isn't necessarily, how do I put this? This wasn't a number that came up, was come up with by a developer basically saying, okay, we have X amount of players, so we're going to have 27 planets. Well, it was kind of like that. So the initial layout of the game, they did put enough planets that they expect or they think will be able to handle the player base. But the way it will work moving forward after the initial layout, which is what we're working on right now, is we're already on the initial layout. So going forward as the population fluctuates, or I should say as the population grows. So fluctuate is the wrong term. If the population goes down, planets don't disappear. But if the population goes up, and it goes up enough that so that there's more than 100 players playing on planets at a time, then the game itself will inject more planets into the game, and those planets will be there for good. So it won't be like game population goes down and those planets disappear. It's like, okay, game population has reached a peak amount that dictates we need more planets. The game puts them in automatically because whatever a logarithm was triggered, and now we have more planets in our universe. And basically the goal behind that is the game is trying to keep people on each of the planets to 100 players or less. That's the happy number that the game wants to keep. Doesn't mean that you can't have more than 100 players on a planet. It just means that the game, if there's 100 players or more on a planet often enough, the game is going to do something about that. And the way it does something about that is by creating a new planet so that it will dilute the player base into going to that planet instead. Because, you know, it'll be a similar planet to the one that's heavily trafficked. What are the laws of the world? Is there tech, magic? What kind of problems can you run into and conquer? Well, it's a multiplayer online role-playing game. There's not really any laws, but I suppose that players can create laws in a way. If you get enough people together in the community that say that, you know, this is the proper way of behaving, and enough people adhere to that standard, then in a way that would be a law. Has anything like that really happened yet? I don't think so. Is there tech? Yes, there's tech. Tech's all around us. Tech is part of the progression of the game, obviously. If you're a crafter-oriented player, the more skills you spend within the crafting trees will allow you more access to recipes within those tech lines that you're investing your skill points into, allowing you to build bigger and badder machines for those purposes. So if you're a cook, you can make a advanced mixer power coils and have more recipes that you can then make at the mixer for the purposes of cooking, etc., etc. Magic? No, this isn't really a magic game. I guess, you know, the portals are more technologically based. They're fueled. They operate off of science, so yeah, magic is not really something we have in Boundless. So one of the easiest things that you can run into is that higher level planets have different atmospheric protections that you'll need in order to be able to breathe on those planets. And I'll demonstrate that firsthand. I'm going to run over to a planet that I do not have atmospheric protection for, and show you what it looks like when you're on a planet that you do not have atmospheric protection for. Alright, so I'm on Bessa Verona. Bessa Verona is a very high tier planet. This is a very scary place for most people. And as you can see in the center of my screen, I've got this white bar that's decreasing, and that's basically showing me that I'm getting closer to suffocating. The longer I stay here, the more likely I am to eventually start taking damage and then die if I take enough damage. Now, I can simply continue on through the portal and go back to a place where I can breathe again, and it's all good, right? And if I look through this portal, I see that foggy haze. Well, that tells me that that planet over there is a turbulent, corrosive world. And it's all foggy because I don't have the atmospheric protection for a turbulent, corrosive world. But what I do have the atmospheric protection for is a turbulent blast world. So I have the atmospheric protection for this place. This is a very high level place. Like Bessa Verona is a very high level place. These are more end game type planets, if you will, where the mobs are very dangerous. And yeah, here I can breathe just fine because I've invested in this character in the skills needed for that, which is volatile protection. In order to breathe on the caustic planet, I need caustic protection, and I don't have that. So that's an example of problems that you run into inside of the game that, well, it'll have some effect on your gameplay, obviously. If you can't breathe on a planet, well, you're not going to be doing much on it. Alright, so the next question is, there's plot protection, but is there anything to protect besides storage, crafting place, and a nice looking build? There's all kinds of things to protect, and it's basically what do you want to protect. Obviously, most people want to protect their house. I'm a member of Portal Seekers, and as a member of Portal Seekers, we've created these gateways that allow people to traverse through the world. So, depending on which gateway it is, different players are protecting those, right? So, like I said earlier, the Betula gateway over here is mine. And so I have this all plotted because, you know, it needs to be protected. You know, we can't have it regenerating, and can't have people whacking away at it, breaking everything. It needs to function, and it needs to be protected, so I have this plotted. I also have other things plotted, like over... Let's go this way here. So I'm out in the wilderness now, right? I'm amongst all the trees. If I run this way a little ways, I decided that I was going to basically save a tree. And again, so the point that I'm ultimately making here is Boundless, and what you plot, what you do in Boundless is really, you know, it's up to your imagination or what you want to do. I decided to save a tree because I thought it was a very cool looking tree. You have lots of trees on the planet, and some of them look a lot alike, and some of them don't. And this specific one was sitting up on a hill, and it looked very much not like any of the other trees. And so I thought, well, that tree's kind of special, and I wanted to make it more special by basically decorating it and enhancing it with some gleam in the center of it so that it glows in the dark, and yeah, so I created what I called the Temple of Gaia, which is basically a fancy tree, and it's protected. I have it plotted, nobody can damage it. So this tree will always be here, growing nice and tall and protected. Nobody can chop it down. But yeah, so whatever you want to plot, you can plot. You could, yeah, you know, it's... The world's your oyster. Do with it as you want. Alright, so the next question. Who are these cute Earth Elemental player avatars, and why are they here story-wise? What needs do you have to fulfill, and what is their history? Alright, so we are the descendants. This is a lore question, basically. And there's not a lot known about the lore right now. From what I understand, after release and as the game goes forward, we're going to learn more about the lore inside of the game. But at this point, what we know about the lore is that we are the descendants of the Orcians, which were a highly advanced technological race, and we are basically kind of piecing together what they did before us and learning from what they did. What happened to them, where they disappeared, why aren't they here? We don't really know any of that. All that we know is that they were really advanced, and our technology is based off of theirs, because we're basically scavenging and finding stuff that they left behind. Alright, is night, day, and weather modifiers anything besides looks? So the answer to that is yes and no. On most planet, weather, night and day, doesn't really modify anything. Low-level planets, weather is for the sake of weather, it's for the sake of immersion. But as you get into the higher tier planets, I'm not sure if this is active yet, but it is a feature that is intended to go in. There's going to be elemental storms, and with these elemental storms will come special high-level elemental mobs. And so you will be able to like look on the horizon and see an elemental storm, almost like a dust cloud or whatever, and that brings with it very dangerous high-level elemental mobs. And so that is something that's going to be on the highest level planets. I'm not sure if it's in the current tier 6 planets yet or not. I have not checked, but I don't think it's in as of yet. So there's still a few things that are coming down the pike after the release of the game, and I believe that's one of those. What are the client server options? Is there a dedicated one for Linux? Alright, so this is not Minecraft. We are playing on the Boundless servers that are provided for us by Boundless. This is not my planet. I did not rent it. I'm not playing on Joe's planet that he rented. I'm playing on the planets that are provided for us by Boundless. Private planets will be a thing in the future. They are not a thing as of yet. And as for private planets, it's not something I'm really excited for or concerned with, as I prefer the MMO features of the game. I prefer being in the normal universe. If and when those planets come on down the pike, maybe I'm not the best person to ask about those things because they don't interest me as much. Compared to Minecraft mods, I can see chisel vendors, home protection, and anything else incorporated here. Alright, so that's kind of a loaded question. It sounds like because Minecraft had Townie, the beacon system must obviously be a ripoff of the Townie system. That's just not the case. Yes, Boundless Minecraft was some of the inspiration on the devs for making Boundless in the first place. But most of the systems and features that are inside of the game are there because they made sense to be in the Boundless universe, not because there was a popular mod in Minecraft. And so, from that answer, I don't know what all the popular mods in Minecraft are either. So I can't even begin to say that, oh well, this is in this game, this is in Boundless, and it was this works a lot like this popular mod that was in Minecraft. I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I'm not that familiar with Minecraft mods. But ultimately, the answer for your question is that Boundless is its own unique beast, and it's been made. The systems that are inside of it are very much made for Boundless. And then your final question, a heavy one for last. What kind of abilities do admins have? Commands, server setup, logs, and debugs. Okay, so again, this is very much like the question before where you were asking about private servers. There are no private servers in the game. And from what I understand, if there is going to be private servers in the game, and they're going to be connected to our universe that everyone else plays in, then you're not going to have any admins running around on those planets being able to use creative mode and spawning endless resources. If the owner of that server wants his planet to be connected to the universe, then he doesn't get any special treatment. He has to play by the same rules as everybody else. So from an admin point of view, if you're going to have a planet that's connected to the universe, there's nothing special. You're just another player. You just happen to own a planet that plays by all the same rules as all the other planets. You just own that planet. However, if your server's private and offline and not connected to the universe, I think there's going to be more leniency, and you could possibly have creative mode and stuff like that there. But again, there are no private servers right now, so all of this is basically speculation. Well, educated speculation. So there's been a lot of questions asked about this with the developers, and I do know the developers, when and if they do implement private servers, there are a lot of key things like the whole, if a private server is going to be linked to all the rest of the normal servers, then there can't be any way to exploit that. So that's a very important thing. And we were all very concerned with people on private servers basically messing up the normal production environment. So with that being said, right now everything in Boundless is in the production environment. It's all being hosted by Boundless. There are no private servers right now. This is very much an MMORPG. And so hopefully that answers your questions. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for asking a lot of good questions, normal 6969, and I'd like to thank everyone who watched this video. If you're on the fence about Boundless, don't be. Just do it. It's a great game. You won't be disappointed. Anyone in the Boundless community, if I made any mistakes or misspoke or I said something wrong, you know, chime in the comments section and correct me. But I think I got most of it right. And yeah, everyone, you have a great day and peace. You're all awesome. Thank you for watching my videos.